Anyway, I think you have to give people permission to challenge the status quo, and you have to build in subtraction as part of the culture. So what I mean by that is, like, it's Sanofi, the pharmaceutical company. They have built in, and we've worked with them on this too. During strategic planning, it's not just about telling all the things you're going to do next year, because people love to tell you like all the things they're going to do, but they also have to commit to saying what they will stop doing. Now that's powerful. And very few companies do that, but the minute I say it, they go, oh my God, that's a great idea. Because it gives them permission, right?
But let me ask you, we're living in a fast changing world. We're living in a world where the techno optimists among us can get really excited by what's coming, and maybe the skeptics can get a little nervous. But nobody's going to argue that it's getting more complex and it's changing more quickly. So I want to talk to you about simplicity, because you've been a champion for simplicity in what feels like an ever increasingly complex world. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, so that kind of came again by happy accident. We were teaching people how to be innovative, as I mentioned, and I realized the more we were teaching them, and we were going in to teach companies, they said innovative, creative, they were kind of teaching it, taking it as the same thing, that when we would get there, the leaders were actually they were being performative about it, because they wanted people to give them ideas, but not that big of an idea. They wanted them to like color with different crayons, but within the lines. And when I asked why, I said, well, we can teach them the skills. They said, it's the skills, but also we don't have time. And so I realized one of the issues is that it's not that people didn't know how to be innovative, but they didn't have the time to do it, because they were wrestling with more competing priorities, unexpected, unplanned. And so I realized the front end of innovation isn't about getting ideas. That's not the problem. It's about having time. Time to think, time to focus on what's important versus focus on everything. So I started teaching people how to simplify first. And that was literally revolutionary. It totally transformed my business, and it's transformed clients, because no one thinks of subtraction. They only think of addition as valuable. And that has to change.
He might be a polarizing figure, but the biography of Musk, right? And the emphasis that I heard over and over again on process deletion, delete, delete, delete.
It's true.
And I'm hearing from you, it's interesting, like, why don't more of us do that? When you're out there opening people's eyes to simplicity and doing less, what are you learning about why and how we end up in a situation where none of us feel like we have time to think or breathe?
So I talk a lot about, the complexity trap, because I think culturally, both professionally and the zeitgeist in general, we value more. We value being busy.
Yeah.
Busy is a badge of honor, right? That's how we're valued. So the busier we are, right, the more needed we are, the more necessary we are. And we get this trap of obligation, of wasting our time. We just give it away freely, and it's a non-renewable asset. So that's part of it. That's the value. The other thing is fear. So when people ask me what creates complexity, they usually say one of two things. They say we're regulated. We're regulated. That makes it so complex. And I said, well, then why do some people in your industry, why are they more simplified than you? They have the same regulations. Oh, it's the organization. It's so big. And I said, well, they're big too. What do you spend your day doing? And what everyone spends their day doing, no matter how big or small they are, is the work of work. It's meetings, it's emails. And I say, well, why do you say you don't want to be in meetings? Why do you still go? You don't want to have any email. Why do you keep sending them? And it's driven by fear, because it's not the fear of missing out. It's the fear of being irrelevant. And so we've got to teach people that it's okay to get rid of. And in fact, it's mandatory for a company's survival to move faster and to be able to focus on meaningful things. And there are so many companies that are doing it now, that the enterprise is waking up and realize they can't move fast unless they start getting rid of things.
Yeah. I think that's such a powerful insight. And it's one that I need to figure out how to work into like my kind of view of the world, because I think you can always do more by doing less. Like there's variations on that quote, but in practice, right, it's so incredibly difficult.
It is.
And I guess I guess one of the challenges that I have is that
Mhm.
that sits alongside a few other, what I think of as just structural blockers to innovation that
Mhm.
exist inside large organizations, right? And so, I noted on, I think it was on your website, right? You said often the very structures put into place to help us grow are the ones that hold us back. And that's
100%.
where I think about, like, well, what does what does an organization try and do, right? It tries to get incredibly efficient with the resources that it has at the thing that it does.
It does, but it never reevaluates something that's outlived its time.
Yeah.
And often what we put in place to create consistency and to organize isn't simplified. So that's a big thing to remember. Being organized isn't the same thing as being simplified. And the first thing we do is we say we're going to put some technology in place. And I can't think of anyone that gets super excited for that new big technology rollout that's going to make me have to do 17 more things. Um, uh, it, we put a process in place, we put technology in place because we think that it'll be organized. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's like Marie Kondo. It doesn't matter if you organize your closet if it's still full of crap. So it's getting rid of so you can focus on the meaningful, not just organizing it. And that's a big thing that people need to shift away from. I think a lot of people that are productivity experts, time management experts, they have done a great disservice to people because they make people feel like they need to be fixed. And it's not them that needs to be fixed, it's the work. I can't spreadsheet my way out of it at some point anymore. And that's where people are right now. They are burned out and they can't get up earlier. They can't color code it. They can't outlook it. They can't spreadsheet it anymore. There's not enough time. And so
Yeah.
that's the idea. Take back your time for things that matter.
I feel like if my director of operations was in here, she'd be shouting hallelujah
Oh,
and
really?
begging for help. But yeah, I mean, like,
Well,
because we live this, right? And it's real. So,
it is.
what else do you see sort of that exists in the culture of large organizations that they should be really introspective about? Right? Like, I'll share one, right, that
Tell
I
me.
see a lot, right, which is that there are some organizations that reward asking for forgiveness more than permission, right? Or at least where that's more acceptable.
I agree.
And they're rare, right? But there's a few, and that do, I think, a very good job of rewarding the lessons learned when you're begging for forgiveness and not. But they're rare. Do you see any other kind of cultural attributes that leaders that care about innovation should be paying attention to? Simplicity
Yeah.
is one. What else?
Well, I mean, I think it's first of all, it's having that it's courage and having the minimalist
Yeah.
mindset. First, it's the courage to challenge the status quo because not enough people feel um, safe in terms of challenging rules. And one of the things we
Yep.
do, by the way, is to challenge the status quo is we teach something called kill a stupid rule. And we get people in a room and we say, if you could kill any rules at work that hold you back, what would they be? And
Yeah.
believe me, people won't shut up. I mean, they've got so many rules because they've never been allowed or felt that they could challenge them. And it's stupid. It's
Yep.
usually not rules. By the way, because you said if your director of operations walked in, my people do the same thing because usually the rules that are stupid are the ones I created. Right.
Yep.
Because, I think I'm doing them a favor, but then I don't realize, oh shit, I did the wrong thing. So anyway, I think you have to give people permission to challenge the status quo, and you have to build in subtraction as part of the culture. So what I mean by that is, like, it's Sanofi, the pharmaceutical company.
Yep.
They have built in, and we've worked with them on this too. During strategic planning, it's not just about telling all the things you're going to do next year, because people love to tell you like all the things they're going to do, but they also have to commit to saying what they will stop doing.
Yeah.
Now that's powerful. And very few companies do that. But the minute I say it, they go, oh my God, that's a great idea.
Well,
Because it gives them permission, right?